Hey there, welcome to Alyssa Jean's Reviews. My name is Alyssa, and this is my review for Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2, Episode 5, An Embarrassment of Dooplers. So, I can sum up my feelings of this episode in one word. Actually, it's one word paired with a gesture. The gesture is key in explaining how I feel about this episode. I don't know. It wasn't as bad as last week's episode, but it also wasn't the bounce back episode I was hoping it would be. I was actually really excited about episodes 2 and 3. I thought season 2 was going in a positive direction, that it was going to be better than season 1. And then we got last week's episode with that stupid sitcom trope. And then this week's episode, which is just, it's fine, but it's like a mediocre season 1 episode. I don't feel like season 2 is going in the right direction. I feel like this episode, it didn't have anything really bad that really annoyed me like last week's episode did with that stupid sitcom trope, the whole Three's Company misunderstanding thing. So they didn't do anything that bad, but I also don't feel like it did anything that great. I didn't think it was particularly funny. I didn't think that it had the usual amount of really cool Easter eggs and references and callbacks and all those things. I felt like I was kind of lacking on that, and that's what I want out of Lower Decks. So it didn't do anything terrible, but it didn't do anything great either. And I think the strength of this episode is the character stories, not so much the comedy, which I'll talk about as I get into it. So let's dive into it now. This time I'm going to start with what's probably the B and C plots. And they're kind of related to each other, the two plots that were taking place on the Cerritos, both involving the Dooplers. So let's talk about the Dooplers. So I thought it was funny in the beginning, how they were like kind of walking on eggshells to try to not freak out this diplomat dude so he doesn't duplicate. And I did find it really funny that Captain Freeman was talking to that other captain on the screen. It was like, oh, thank God he's almost gone. You can't imagine how hard it's been. And then he walks in and he overhears, oh, you want me here? And he starts duplicating. And that was funny. And then at the end, I love how she was just like, enough of this! And she was just pissed off. And she's like, you know what? I'm tired of your shit! And that's what made him go back together. Now, it seems like, a little 21st century Google search, a little asking the computer of what you can do with the species would have solved that problem for them. If that's all it takes is to make them angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. But whatever, it's Lower Decks. You gotta give it a lot of leeway. So I liked the beginning. I thought it was funny. I liked the end. And in the middle, it was a lot of repetitiveness. A lot of, okay, this is getting old. Okay, he's freaking out and duplicating. Oh, look, he's freaking out and duplicating again. Oh, it's still happening. Now there's more of him. Now there's more of him. So it was kind of, I don't know. Yeah, it got kind of boring. But I liked how it started and I liked how it ended. Now, the Dooplers also tied into the Rutherford and Tindy plot. Rutherford and Tindy again. I always complain about Rutherford and Tindy. I just don't like this pairing. I don't like that they insist on always putting them together because I just don't think their plots are ever really that funny. And this is another example. They're just trying to escape the Dooplers and trying to put together this stupid model. I didn't think it was funny. But what I will give this storyline credit for is at least it is finally addressing the fact that Rutherford lost his goddamn memory in the finale. They have been pretending like that never happened. He just seems like he's back to normal. And there were no effects whatsoever of his memory loss But this episode, they finally address it. You finally see that he is dealing with the ramifications of having lost a year of his life and having to start over his friendship with Tindy again, not remembering what he was like before. Okay, good. We need to actually see effects of things that happen, especially after they've undid the Shaq's death. The other thing from the finale was that Rutherford memory loss, and they kind of have been shoving it aside. So I will give him kudos for finally addressing that in this episode. As I said, it is the character stuff that is the strength of this episode. So it wasn't particularly funny, but I did like that. Now let's get into the A-plot, Boimler and Mariner. Now, I don't get annoyed by Boimler and Mariner being paired together as much as I do Rutherford and Tindy. I still would prefer if overall we get more of the four of them together kind of episodes, or we mix it up a little bit more and not always have to pair off Rutherford and Tindy and Boimler and Mariner. However, I would say from a character standpoint that this is another thing that really needed to be resolved, is that Mariner was still pissed off at Boimler for abandoning her. She brings it up occasionally all throughout the episodes ever since he came back, but they never really addressed it. They never confronted it. They never confronted each other. So that did need to happen. So that was satisfying. I liked seeing that. I like seeing Mariner finally talk about her feelings, and then Boimler talk about how he felt. I thought that was great for their friendship. And I think it's very much developing into a friendship. I don't think we have to worry about them hooking up. I still want to see Mariner with some non-binary or female-identifying individuals, because that's what she said. She needs to follow through. Show us the money, Mariner. Come on. Anyways, so that aspect of it was good. However, it wasn't particularly funny, and I thought they had a big fail on the lack of Easter eggs and references. I thought that party could have been a gold mine for references, and there may have been some that I missed, but I didn't particularly see any. The party was boring. Why do they care about that party? It was boring as fuck. There was nothing interesting about that party at all. Not even good Easter eggs or references. Nothing. So, I don't know. I thought that was kind of an epic fail. But I did like that they finally addressed Mariner's feelings of abandonment. That's good. So character stuff, good. Comedy, So that's where I sit with this episode. Okay, each week I keep trying to beat my record for the shortest review. Because that's really, I don't have much to say about this episode. Character stuff, good. Comedy, bad. Overall, Like, that's all there is to say. So, go ahead and give my rating out of 10. 1's the lowest score, 10's the highest score. And the lowest score I've given so far to Lower Decks this season is a 6, and that was last week's episode. So this week I was really bouncing around between a 6 and a 7, and I do give out 0.5s. So 6.5 was on the table as well. And, when I started processing it, I started thinking, well, the character stuff was positive. They addressed things that needed to be addressed. 7. Fine. I'll give it a 7. We'll go with 7. It's a low-end 7, but you know what? It's not a 6.5. It's a 7. I do need to see Lower Decks start to pick up the pace. I would love to see them get some good episodes in prior to episode 8 or 9, unlike last season. So let's see what they can give us in episode 6. So I'm looking forward to seeing a bounce back episode for real. Not a bounce back episode, because this wasn't terrible, but it was just like, So let's get better. So we shall see. And you can join me next week to hear my thoughts, and you can find out whether I think they did succeed in stepping up the pace, improving the episodes. So please subscribe if you have not already. Please like this video and check out all my other Star Trek stuff on TOS, TNG, and DS9, as well as my stuff on MCU, Star Wars, and transgender issues. So I hope to see you next week. Bye.